The government of Armenia has streamlined procedures for granting citizenship to thousands of ethnic Armenians fleeing from war-torn Syria, amid concerns voiced by at least one political group that encouraging an exodus from this Middle Eastern country will ruin its well-established Armenian community. The decision to facilitate Syrian Armenians' immigration was announced at a cabinet meeting on Thursday, as more ethnic Armenians were arriving in Yerevan on once-a-week flights carried out from Aleppo. The city that has seen intense fighting in recent days is regarded as the economic and cultural center of Syria's estimated 80,000-strong Armenian community.
With
this decision, we are proposing that our compatriots in Syria and Lebanon be able, after gaining Armenian citizenship, to receive passports at our diplomatic missions there.
In earlier interviews with RFERL's Armenian service, many Syrian Armenians have complained about the difficulties they face in getting Armenian passports. Minister Hakobian acknowledged these difficulties, saying that the decision will facilitate the travel for Syria's ethnic Armenians. Meanwhile, Giro Manayan, the foreign policy spokesman for the Armenian Revolutionary Federation, Dashnaktsutyun, insisted that Armenia must not encourage a mass out-migration of ethnic Armenians from Syria and thereby eliminate a key diaspora community in the Middle East. He stressed, however, that those Syrian Armenians who are willing to come to Armenia should get appropriate assistance from the country's authorities.
Breaking up a community is relatively easy, but organizing a community is very challenging. In these conditions, keeping an organized community is much easier, even with all the difficulties involved, and creating an atmosphere of panic and making accusations.
Manoyan said that Dashnaktsutyun has been doing everything possible, working with relevant political circles in Syria to ensure the security of the local Armenian community. The Dashnaktsutyun chapter in Syria has for decades been the most influential community organization.
The important thing is to avoid anti-Armenian steps or in general any steps against minorities that also include Armenians. That would create a totally different situation.
Manoyan acknowledged an increased demand for flights from Syria to Armenia and called unacceptable the alleged attempts by Armavia, Armenia's national air carrier, to take advantage of the situation by raising ticket prices. But he disagreed that all Armenians in Syria have intentions to leave the country. He also rejected calls for the Armenian government to send special airplanes to Syria to evacuate ethnic Armenians from there.
This is a very complicated matter. Today Armenia as a state announced that it evacuates Syrian Armenians. It would mean that it must take all of them. It would mean rejecting those who wish to stay. But of course, people willing to come here must be helped. But we must not initiate relocation.
Meanwhile, about 170 Syrian Armenians arrived in Yerevan from Aleppo on board a Syrian airplane on Wednesday as deadly clashes between Syrian government troops and rebels intensified in and around the city. Scenes of warm family reunions were not rare at Yerevan's Vartnots airport that night. Some of the arriving passengers approached by RFERL's Armenian service gave tearful accounts of their experiences in the war-torn country. Sovinar, an Armenian woman from Aleppo, arrived in Yerevan together with her sister and their children.
When we reached the airport, the situation was very chaotic. There was gunfire. Until now, things were fine. There were some problems around Aleppo, but things were quiet in the city. We have fled shelling. We have come here to take some rest and then return and carry on with our life. We are going to rent a place there. My parents are here. Our husbands are there in Syria. They need to work, so we can leave.
While acknowledging the worsening situation and difficulties they face in Syria off the record, some Aleppo Armenians speaking on camera still painted less dramatic pictures of the crisis in their country.
We are having hard but not catastrophic times. Our army is strong. Perhaps it is the last days for the rebels.
The Syrian troops are already powerful and will not allow foreign troops to meddle in our politics.
Those of the Syrian Armenians who arrived in Armenia with intentions to stay here were less cautious in their accounts and acknowledged that the situation in Aleppo had worsened dramatically.
The situation is very bad. Already now no one can go to the city or out of their homes. My relatives there, of course, are afraid, but they can't do anything. Those who can afford to come here do so. Those who have no possibilities have to remain there.
Officials from the Armenian Ministry of Diaspora were for the first time on hand at the airport to give the arriving Syrian Armenians information booklets and asking them to fill out questionnaires on their personal data and the length and purpose of their stay in Armenia. A foreign ministry spokesman told RFERL's Armenian service on Friday that the Armenian government has issued 3,000 visas to citizens of Syria since January. Some 3,000 Syrian nationals of Armenian descent reportedly applied for Armenian citizenship during the first 6 months of this year.